Well, I put it at the top. And the reason, Richard, is because number one, if you're not aware of, say, your shortcomings or your weaknesses, then that's even worse because you're leading people, you're crossing over bad leadership traits to people. So being self-aware is very, very important because it then if I'm aware that I have a certain weakness, then I will, when I go on stage, which as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as somebody who's out there, you're constantly on stage and there's people watching you all the time, be it whether you're giving a keynote, be it any emails you're sending out, be it anything you're posting on social media, you're always on stage.
Right.
And if I am aware of something, I can fix it, I can improve on it. But if I am not aware of something, that's that's very unfortunate because I'm passing it on. And for me, in order to be aware of something, you have to reflect. And at the end of the day, you need to reflect. How was my day? How did I treat that person? Did I send out an email that maybe would have offended somebody? Did I say something that maybe would not have resonated well? Because people who are self-aware are people who reflect.
Welcome to the Sharpen the Spear podcast, where we help manufacturing executives command the front and win the floor. I'm Richard Walsh, creator of the Sharpened Impact methodology, and I've spent decades helping leaders transform frontline teams, unlock hidden profit, and capture capacity they didn't even know they had. If you want to see where your leadership gaps are costing you and how to fix them, head over to grittolead.com and run the free Sharpened Impact Simulator today. Let's sharpen your edge and get started. And we are back on STS Sharpen the Spear podcast with another incredible guest. Amos Balongo is with us today from Hawaii. Love your checking in from there, Amos. But Amos, no one knows Amos like Amos. So, Amos, I need the backstory. Bring us up to speed so we can get into the conversation.
Aloha, my friends. Thank you, Richard. Yes, I'm Amos Balongo. I am a leadership coach, keynote speaker, an executive communications coach. And what I do, Richard, is I manufacture leaders that can effectively communicate and create an impact.
I love it. That's good.
Um,
See, it's brief, it's to the point, it's right on target. I love it, Amos. That's good. So, first question, why? Why did you choose that path? What was the inspiration initially? Did you fall into this? Was it just someone said, "Hey, you can communicate. Why don't you go communicate?" I don't know. Where did it all start?
I think when you look at my journey and the journey of many folks, uh, where they end up a lot comes from experiences they had in the past. And mine is really stems from having been led poorly in the past and digging deep to find out the reason why I wasn't led well came down to the inability for the leaders that I worked with to effectively communicate. The great leaders, but couldn't get the message across or couldn't communicate in a way where they would move their teams to action. And as a result, I got into this journey to help leaders become effective communicators because I've been there, I've seen it, I've experienced it, and I know the way out. So
So,
that's what led me into that.
so let me ask you: was it so? Did you have to look back and see why they led poor? Like, were you in a situation like, well, why am I here? And you're like, because I got bad leadership information. Like someone didn't lead me well, so now I'm here and now I'm looking back. Or was it during the process you're like, these guys couldn't lead you to lunch, like I mean, like, so where did the discernment come in? That's the real question.
It's a little bit of both, Richard, because I've been in situations where I, you know, I'm part of a team and a leader has communicated something that needs to be done, and everybody on the team is yesing the leader, but they have no idea what the leader wants, and then we're gonna go and huddle back after the meeting and be like, do you know what he or she meant? And what are we supposed to do with that? Which leads to misalignment because what the leader really wanted and what the team is doing is completely opposite. However, nobody is gonna ask the leader, could you break this down in a way we understand? So that's the first part. The second part is really arriving at a destination and realizing you're way off the mark and looking back. I call it the archaeological way uh, of looking back at leadership, and you find that there's so many things that went wrong along the way, and it's all because it wasn't communicated right, or during the different points when the leader should have stepped in and reaffirmed the priorities, it wasn't done. So you end up, where you're not supposed to be. So a little bit of both on those.
So do you find on that basis, when a leader is leading, okay, it's not they should not say and leave. Okay, because a lot of times they'll come in and they'll throw their the orders down, if you will, right?
Yeah.
And then they disappear.
Uh-huh.
Now you're left to rehuddle.
Yeah.
What did he say? Did he mean this or this or this?
Mhm.
Can't ask him because there must be some fear element
Yes.
of at some degree. And now you got to execute something. Otherwise, you're going to be held accountable for not getting the thing done. They didn't communicate well. So, is that it? They just kind of say it and leave, or should there be an involvement? Or so, I guess what I'm saying is, let's walk through your process,
Okay.
like your correction of that. We'll use that exactly what you just said, and let's kind
Okay.
of walk through the correction on that. What do you do right? What do you do wrong?
Okay. So part of what I teach in communication is simplicity. A lot of times we make things so complex. A lot of times leaders will give direction and it's very complex. And I look at it in terms of life. Life is already so complicated as it is. So I've got to make it simple in order for the my team to be able to apply it. So first thing a leader needs to look at is how complex is or how simple is my message. Because if it's very complex and they have to break it down, then the chances of them executing are minimized significantly. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, you talked about the leader that gives orders and leaves. I like to use something I call the stay factor. And the stay factor means, you have to stay with your team through different phases to make sure that number one, you're equipping them, you're supporting them, but then also whatever you need done is being executed at the different stages. So I would, with anything, if it's a project, for example, I'd break it down into 4 stages. And at each and every stage, you'd have a checkpoint where you check in with your team and how are things going? Is everybody on task? And what do you need from me and how can I lead you through this? So that eliminates the issue of I gave orders, somebody went ahead and did something, and at the end it's completely different than what I wanted. You can adjust the sails at each checkpoint to ensure that you're sailing in the right direction, if I will.
Right. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I think it is a big missing element out there. And it's either from, probably a lot of reasons, but I look at, could be their own incompetence, meaning they don't actually know what they are.
Yeah,
What they're doing, what a lot of leaders do is they tell you kind of, we need this end result,
right.
but they don't know how to get there.
Uh-huh.
So they've given an order and they just don't say it, but what they mean is figure it out.
Right.
Figure it out. And that's all the help you're getting from me.
Right.
So there is no direction. There's no, how can I help you? Because I can't help you because I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just someone put in a role.
Absolutely. And you and I talked about this prior, and that is, as a leader, I look at my leadership style is a tour guide leadership style. A tour guide leadership style means I'm sending people somewhere where I have been and I can guide them through it. The other leadership style is a travel agent leadership style. I'm sending you to places I've never been. And that's how the figuring it out mentality comes. Oh, I'm going to send you somewhere, but you go figure it out. So as a leader, you have to ask yourself before you get onto any project or before you lead your team is, am I a tour guide or am I a travel agent? And if you're a travel agent, you need to learn the way so you can actually show the way to your people.
Okay, that was going to be my follow-up question. Well, can you still be a travel agent? And
Well,
but you can't be one and lead.
yes. If you're a travel agent, then you have to travel agent leadership, if I will, you have to bring people alongside you that will be your tour guides, that will
Gotcha.
guide the team, because you can be a know-it-all, show-it-all, do-it-all if you're a travel agent. I would surround myself with people that know the way and can guide the team, and that's how I would take care of that.
That's the point I wanted to hear.
Mhm.
Okay, so it's not you have to know everything.
Yeah,
You have to know the right people.
right,
You have to know the people who can who can make this happen. And I think a lot of it is it's just like when we do 30, 60, 90-day goals.
right,
Okay. They're structured, and not just smart goals. I mean, like when you get stuck, who do you talk to?
right.
Like that's literally laid out. You don't
Uh-huh,
come to me.
right,
Okay. You're going to go to this person if you get
uh-huh,
stuck here. If you need these resources, you go here.
right.
Okay. Here's the time frame. Here's the check-in. Here's what we're looking for. Here's the actual outcome, the complete
Mhm.
outcome we want. What's the target? What are we doing on these depending on the day, and really lay that out, right? And
Right.
I think when you give those people the touch points,
Uh-huh.
that's what speeds it to completion, but also gets it done correctly. Do you find that too?
Absolutely. And just to touch on something else here about this, Richard, is you need, as a leader, you need to have humility to be able to say, hey, you know what? I really haven't been there before, but these are the people on my team that know this, or these are the outside consultants that know this, and they're going to guide us through this process. And you have to be able to say you have no idea.
Right.
And
Right.
that takes humility, something that, either you have it or you don't.
Yeah, I think yeah, you have it or you don't. I guess that's pretty much it.
Yep.
You know, or someone might have to give it to you. The
Yep.
humility part, that's not going to be pretty.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
so
if you don't
I've
have a
humbled
humility,
if I've humbled a few in my day.
yeah, and if you don't have the humility, that's when you're gonna be like, you guys go figure it out. And that's a situation where your team is so afraid to come to you because they're like, oh, we don't want to bother the boss because, oh boy, we're
Yeah,
just gonna figure it out. And they will,
yeah.
and chances are you will not like it.
So now there's a point in this, a point of you've got your travel agent leader, you've got your tour guide, okay, but then sometimes you've got the I'll do everything leader.
Yes.
So like his hands are in it too much, or
Yes.
her hands, right? They're micromanaging,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Not a fan
Hmm.
of micromanagers. Not a fan of them at all. Okay, they got control issues and all kinds of stuff,
Yeah.
and I don't work well with those people. I
Right.
humble them. I humble them and lose my job. No, but I'm just saying it's people like that. So there's this point where you have to lead and let people do.
Yes.
Right. So talk about that a little bit because that's where people I think really get mixed up.
Absolutely. And I think that the kind of person you're talking about, the kind of leader is a know-it-all, do-it-all, show-it-all. They want the credit for everything, and that's why they have their fingers in everything. Additionally, there's a certain level of insecurity as a leader if
Right.
you want your fingers in every part, and I mean, basically everything bottlenecks, you know,
Right.
to you. Now, in order to be effective as a leader, you have to have the growth mindset, and you have to look and see, for as a leader, how many people can I grow in my team? Because in order for them to grow, you need to give them the ability to grow. You need to equip them. You need to empower them. You need to delegate. You need to allow them to do the things that will help them grow. Uh, and for me, as a test, I always tell myself when I'm in a situation, I'm leading a team, is what are the things that I do not like to do? Those are the things that I end up doing. The things most leaders will hold on to the things they like to do. However, those are the things that your team needs to do in order to grow. There's things that maybe I don't like to do and I need to do them to get better at them. Those are the things that I will do. And the stuff that I'm really good at, I'll delegate that and equip and empower and stay and follow up with the team because that's how they grow. And so delegation is a very interesting thing because it's not, I'm going to cherry pick the things that I don't want to do and give it to the team. I
Right.
have a reverse way of doing it. I'm going to do the things that I don't like to do, that I know that I need to grow in that area. And the areas that I feel I'm really good at, I'm going to delegate that to the team so they can grow as well. Because you know, my philosophy is that the more people you bring along, the more people you grow, the more significant you are as a leader.
Right. Yeah, I think, and this isn't for everyone, but I think the truly great leaders are making more leaders as part of
Absolutely.
that growth product, and at all different levels.
Yeah,
Leaders are they're at every level. It doesn't
absolutely.
matter if it's a floor guy or it's the C-suite.
Yep.
It doesn't. There's leaders at every level. And I go back to when you were talking about simplicity. We do a thing too. It's called 14 words.
Okay.
If you can't deliver your direction in 14 words,
Right.
and I mean not 15, I
Uh-huh.
mean 14. Okay, it doesn't count. So
Right.
we get them to learn to do a 14-word delivery. That's
Right.
simplicity,
Uh-huh.
and do it. And then when they say, "Well, why?" then we teach them silence.
Yeah.
You just look at them.
Yeah.
And when they say why again, you repeat the 14 words.
Right.
And then they finally get it when you're like, I'll go do that.
Right.
But it's simple, right? It's very simple to
Uh-huh.
understand. And we put that in place for that specific reason. Simplicity, like you talk about complex. Every complex system is built of simple systems. They
Right.
have to create simple systems to make complex. So if you're delivering one thing to one person, that should not be complex. That's a
Absolutely.
simple system. It's me to you, do this. This is how, this is when, goodbye.
Right.
Unless goodbye is the 15th word, then you don't say goodbye. Okay. but but I mean, right? So we got to think of it that way. Like we keep it, we're in the simple systems.
Hmm.
We're not in the complex systems from a
Right.
leadership standpoint. Now you got to operate in the simple systems, right? Does that make sense? Because I just thought of that.
Absolutely. And it goes down to application. As a leader, what do you want people to do with your message? What do you want people to do with what you communicate with? The end goal is you want to move them to action. You want them to take what you're saying and apply it. Uh, and only way that happens is simplicity. And
Right.
as simple as this sounds, it can be very complex for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, it can. There's a lot of personality aspects
Hmm.
that go into, whether it's intentional or not, that goes into leadership.
Right.
Like, what have you seen with that? Because man, that seems like just like it messes up the recipe.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, I bake it this way, but now you're putting these six other things into my recipe. This is going to be a disaster, right? So, what are you seeing with the personality variances or whatever from a leadership standpoint? I know they got personality tests and all this kind of stuff, but I mean the actual execution of leadership. What does that look like?
Right. For me, I think leadership is caught. It's not taught. Um, Most leaders are leading that way because they saw other people lead that way. So in order to be able to be a great leader, you really need to get into the mindset of saying, I want to learn this. And I also want to look at people that are leading well because you can learn it, but then also you have to understand that when you're a leader, you're dealing with different uh, personalities. It's a cast of characters, if I will.
Right.
And everybody has a different language. And I segueing into the leadership language. And a team of 15 people, you've got 15 different languages because the way you equip one person may be very different. Their language might be very different than another person's language. So you've got to be able to understand the team dynamics, the leadership dynamics, your own dynamics. So if you don't understand that, you can't lead because you're going to be trying to do a one size fits all, and that doesn't work. How I inspire team member A is going to be very different than how I inspire team member D. And when we talk about the leadership personalities, yeah, that is there. And as a leader, it's how do you get all these different personalities to work together for a common goal? And one of the things that's so important is the goal has to be clear. You can't hit a target you can't see. It has to be clear. They need to be able to see it, and you need to be able to understand how do you lead and lead well each and every team member. So it's a contact sport, and you can't just be, hey, take this and run with this, and I'm gonna sit in my corner office and let me know how you make out. You have to get your hands dirty, if I will.
Yeah, I like it. I kind of I use my analogy is always you're the conductor of the orchestra.
Yeah,
I don't play any instruments.
yeah.
I play a baton,
Uh-huh.
and I bring a little bit out of you, and I make you be a little quieter over there, and I bring more from the back. The percussions come in, at just the right time, and that's your job as kind of a leader. I use a lot with the ownership aspect of the business, right? Being an owner,
Uh-huh.
so that's where you want to be. You don't want to be going and playing the violin for them. Put that
Yeah.
down and go play the French horn for the
Uh-huh.
other guy. Do this for all the parts, right? You're just making sure they're hitting the notes just right, right?
Absolutely.
That's kind of leadership,
Yeah.
um, and he does with a 93-piece orchestra. You know what I mean? It's pretty good. You think
Yeah.
about that, all standing there at the podium. It's okay, but
Absolutely.
yeah, it's the leadership thing that always would confuse me
Mm-hmm.
on these personalities. And I'll just be honest, like I hear a lot of different things on the personalities and how you treat them, and I've heard it in different contexts. Like someone would say, well, they'll take a test and he's a D and he's a this and this, and they got all these letters and numbers and enneagrams and whatever they are, right? And then and there's 300 people in the organization,
Right.
and I'm looking like, well, what do you do? Put that on their name badge? They put a
Yeah.
D, and you got to go, oh, he's a D. Well, wait, let me
Yeah.
think how I should talk to him. I mean, we got to be realistic. I mean,
Right.
work's got to get done. Some people get a little too foo-foo with this, Amos. You know what I mean? They're a little too much down the personality thing. We still have
Yeah.
a mission to accomplish, right?
And Richard, you're right, and I'm glad you brought this up because those, for me, I again simplifying it, I always tell
Mhm.
teams that when I go consult with teams of companies with 3, 4, 500 people, amongst them there's vice presidents, there's directors, there's managers, and there's team leads. I actually have it go down all the way to the team lead level because then you're getting into a smaller team.
Right.
And at that point, it's not about what number does this person have. It's to lead a team well. The simple way is you have to understand what they value. And then you have to build from there because every team member values something. So am I going to lead you because you are a D, a C, or an A? Or am I going to lead based on what you value and how that value can be translated towards a common goal or value for the organization? That's the approach that I use.
That's good. That's good. I think it's important. I was talking with another guest regarding values themselves and companies. We're talking about company values, core values, and
Right,
some have them, some don't have them, some have them but don't even know what they are.
right,
They just put things on a wall and that kind of thing. And I think it's important from a leadership standpoint that you need to define your core values,
right.
live your core values,
Hmm.
hire based on your core values, right?
Right.
And because then what you're doing to your situation that you said, you've already got a starting point of we are aligned in core values.
Right.
If they understand that, not that you want your job easy, but at least you have a framework to follow, and you understand that most of these people are here, or should be all of them, who believe in those core values.
Uh-huh.
So there's just another way to direct to the target,
Right.
right?
Absolutely. And we're digging into now culture, organizational culture. And there's a big difference between culture and character. Culture can be taught. I can come in an organization and I can learn about the culture in the organization, but character, that's a whole different story.
Right.
And when I'm on hiring teams, I hire character and not culture, because the core values, I'm not looking for somebody who's aligned with the values of the organization. I'm looking at character, because character will is foundational.
Yep.
And if you don't have good character, those values will not mean anything.
Yeah. So to this point, and we touched on this before we jumped on the air, which is great. I'm glad you brought it up again. To me, character is what um what arises from pressure.
Right.
Okay. So you can have character traits,
Hmm.
or people can tell you, or you can kind of try to figure them out, but until it's pressure tested,
Right.
that's when you see it. We talked about it's one of those doing the right thing when no one's looking.
Right.
Okay, that's good. Well, what are you doing when no one's looking? That's the pressure.
Right.
Oh, look, I found $25,000 on the ground, and
Yeah.
there's a guy walking over there
Yeah.
who might have dropped. Am I going to keep it or what? Okay, I'm talking about pressure, like this. That's tempting, right? Or
Right.
whatever else it might be, right? So it's always the pressure. It's just not when no one's looking. There
Uh-huh.
has to be an applied pressure to that, and that's a difficult thing to, I mean, air quote, test for,
Right.
right? But let's
Right.
break this down a little bit more on character, because I think it's an important thing that I hear often from owners of businesses and things like that, that they want to hire for character. And I'm just being transparent. It's just that's where it ends.
Yeah.
They don't define character.
Right.
Like, what if you're hiring for a character, you need to know what character means or what character you're looking for. I mean, if you're going duck hunting and all you see, you're looking for snakes, and you're
Right.
supposed to be duck hunting, well, you're not going to get any ducks. So I want to break this down so like we have some definitions here, so
Yeah.
people can start getting in this thought process of, oh, I should actually know what it means,
Yeah.
instead of just using it as platitudes, trying to make us feel like we're all this.
Right, right. Absolutely, Richard. This reminds me of a story I have. I was once hired by a client to go speak at an event, and they wanted me to talk about business ethics. And during the pre-interview, to talk about how we're going to set up this keynote, I brought up a conversation of it. I can't really talk about business ethics because we have to take the business out of the ethics and talk about just ethics, because either you have them or you don't. It's very difficult to have good business ethics and bad personal ethics.
Right.
It business ethics to me is, if you're doing it at home and you're doing it in the real world, you're doing it in business. So it's you
Right.
can't have bad business ethics and good personal ethics. So this leads me to, what we're talking about, character. You either have good character or you have bad character. There is no in between. And uh, to me, how you would measure good character is, how do you treat other people? How do you treat other people is a biggest indicator of character. You know, what do other people have to say about you? Because it's the people who do not have any who cannot have any influence in your life are the ones that will be able to determine your character. It's, for example, it's how do you treat waiters when you go in a restaurant?
Mm-hmm.
That tells me a lot about your character. How do you treat people who may be uh, in terms of in an organization, the they're on the low. I mean, you're higher than them on the
Mhm.
org chart. How do you treat these people? That tells me a lot about your character. So character to me is yes, you're right. It's what you do when people are not watching, but it's what you always do organically, if I will.
Mhm.
Because you can put on a show of somebody who has a good character, but you can't do it for so long. So in order to find out character, you gotta become an archaeologist and dig deeper, a few layers down to find out who's this person really in terms of character. Because if
Yeah, it's
I
it's
bring
kind
you
of
in to my organization and you have good character, then you will adopt the values of the organization because you have good character. If I bring you in and you have bad character, then now we've got two things to fix. We've got to fix your character, but then also we have to get you aligned with the values because
yeah, and I
you
and I
can't have
think
yeah.
I think from the company standpoint, that's the fixing their characters above their pay grade.
Yeah.
I'm like, unless they're eight, okay, then I can work on it. But you come in as an adult with bad character, I got no time for that. Okay. Like,
Yeah.
I'll get someone else because I can't. I'm not here to fix you're broken. Go have someone else fix you. Go ahead, go talk to the character doctor. Okay,
Yeah.
because I'm not that. So I think it's right, and I think a lot of that is really digging it out. And there's a lot of what the guys say. Hey, that's why they go golfing.
Yeah.
They'll take someone golfing and see how they respond to that bad shot, to this, to this. How do they play a game? I had this thing since forever. I say, you want to discover a man's character, engage him in sport.
Right.
See how he plays. Get him on a basketball court. Get him here. Get him. I mean, box. I don't care. But like let's see what he does. And
Right.
I've seen individuals like state's attorneys, okay,
Mm.
things like that, high that cheat at basketball.
Mhm.
They cheat. Like, you're cheating. You're like the state's attorney. Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, you're cheating. You're a cheater. Okay.
Yep.
No respect for that individual. Right. You just lose it from that that lack of character.
Yeah.
You know, to me, just like you're saying, it crosses over into everything you do.
Right.
So,
If you cheat in
it,
basketball, if you cheat in golf, you'll cheat in the workplace, you'll cheat personally. It's
yep,
just
yep,
there's there's and that's determining character is not a very difficult thing to do if you're a leader. And it to me, I always say I can teach somebody how to do a job, but it's very difficult to teach them good character.
that's what I'm saying. It's
Right?
like it's not your job.
Yeah. And
Like it's, I get little fine tuning things, people are
yeah.
just kind of unaware, but we know that's rare.
The good thing though, Richard, it can be learned. It's never too late to learn something because at the end of the day, when I look at, say, the bad leadership situations I was in, a lot of it was because these folks just didn't know. Nobody taught them, you
Right.
know, and and it comes down to us leaders, how are we teaching people these things? If
Yeah.
you model somebody, if your boss is somebody of bad character and that's your first boss out of college, and then you get two or three of those, well, you're gonna,
That's the
chances are
norm
high
to you.
that becomes what you know. So I'm an optimist and I believe that it can be taught. I actually think it's better if it start uh, early on in life. But I never give up hope on somebody who's bad character who's in their 50s because they still hope if
Yeah.
you're teachable and you're humble and you're willing to learn.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that here. But you said it right there at the end, willing to
Yeah.
learn. The it's like motivating the unmotivated. You aren't going to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're motivated, I'm going to motivate you even more. If
Uh-huh.
you're unmotivated,
Yeah.
so there has to be the willingness to learn. And I think more and more I see it out there where there's a lot of, growth mindset,
Right.
like forever. It's like a cool thing as I get older,
Uh-huh.
I've heard this recently, people saying, we're talking about men and stuff like that in business and whatever in life and marriage. And it's like, are you finishing well?
Right.
And I really like that term, Amos.
Mm-hmm.
That's inspiring. It means, man, you don't take your foot off the gas.
Right.
You don't start you don't start chipping away at your character. You don't start doing this, doing that, bad because you've been around for 70 years.
Right.
Like, no, you got to finish well. You need
Right.
to actually, to me, I pick up the pace. I'm
Mm-hmm.
accelerating. Okay. I
Right.
want to do more, learn more, make a greater impact, stuff like that, because my time is getting short.
Right.
Okay. So I have a different mindset, right? I want to learn more. I want to take more in. I work more. So, but that I think is the key to all this, to character change or development.
Right.
I think even if you have good character, you can have better character.
Absolutely. And you're right. You could do amazing things, and how you finish is how people will remember you.
That's it.
So there's people that have done some great things, and one lapse of judgment or one bad thing at the 11th hour basically wipes out 50 years
That's it.
of just
I've
good
seen it.
character and good values. And so it's the finishing is very important, the
Yeah.
strong finishing. And that
Yeah.
means we need to be aware of what we do every day and how that affects what we've been building. Because it's, think about it, you're building this cathedral, you're building, your character, and at the end, it's a story that will be told about you, you
Yeah.
know, and people just remember the end and how you
Yeah.
finished.
Yeah.
And
It's that it's the casket
yeah,
experience. Like, put yourself in the casket at your own funeral.
yeah,
What are people saying?
uh-huh, uh-huh.
Or are they even there? Okay. Like,
Uh,
did anyone show up? Start
yeah,
with that, but I think these are great reminders.
yeah,
Like, we're all working. Well, maybe not all of us, but I just think about the end.
right.
Not in an escapist way, but
Uh-huh,
like, am I doing enough? Am I maintaining my level of character I've had for 60 years? Am
right.
I doing that? Is this going forward? Can I still proverbially look myself in the mirror
Hmm.
and say, well, there's a pretty good man. There's a good
Right.
man. You
Yeah.
know, like, I didn't cheat that guy. So
Yeah.
it's that kind of thing. But I think it's really important that people get that in their mindset as well, the
Hmm.
finishing well. And I don't care if you're 30.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, your finish could be tomorrow. That's
Ab-
just life, right?
Absolutely. And they call it a journey because you're going to make mistakes along the way. And it's how you learn from those mistakes and how you correct them going forward. Because I've never met any leader who's like, well, it's always been smooth sailing. You're
Right.
expected to make mistakes. And you're also expected to learn and grow from them. And talking about leadership here, Richard, as leaders, we earlier on we talked about manufacturing leaders. And a lot of the people who are poor leaders are a byproduct of bad leadership. So when you're in a leadership position, you've got to realize that you may be impacting future generations by leading badly. And people are going to come out of your team and they're going to go out there, they're going to be leaders, and people are going to be like, oh, that leader really sucks.
Yeah.
But where did they learn it from? So it's a great responsibility that we have to model to be great leaders, because there's younger people watching, there's people in your team watching, and they're gonna pick up some of those traits, and they're gonna use those when they become leaders. So and I impress upon this on many leaders that I meet every day is you are modeling in everything that you do. And I want the people that I've worked with over the years to be known as great leaders because they learned, how to do it right, how to
Right.
value people, how to equip people, how to grow people, and not the opposite.
Yeah. I think it reminds me of what they call generational curses,
Right.
families.
Uh-huh.
I do this because my dad did it. He is the drinker. I'm a drinker. He's
Yeah.
abusive. I'm abusive. She's this. I'm that. And
Uh-huh.
you've got that, and that's true.
Uh-huh.
But you can break those. But
Yes.
you have to be intentional. You have to
Yeah.
realize, like, no, it's not, I'm not him.
Yeah.
Okay. Just because they did doesn't mean I do it. It's the old, if your friends jump off a bridge or you know what I
Right.
mean? It's that.
Hmm.
So like, but to your point, you have to take the responsibility
Yeah.
to understand that people are watching you. My kids, I always use the more is caught than taught all the time when
Yeah.
it comes down to kids. I
Hmm.
said, you can tell them all the right things.
Yeah.
They're only going to do what they see you do.
Exactly.
Straight up, like, and if you better get that in your soul. Okay,
Right.
if you have children, like, you better understand you need to walk the talk
Yep.
because they don't care what you say. They're only watching what you do.
Uh-huh.
And you want to test your character, be like me and have 6 little kids. Okay. And do that and then see what and now they're grown and you go, okay, I did pretty good
Right.
with almost all of
Yep.
them. No, they're all good, but it's but you start to see this is to your point. Take that example. So now my kids are teens, upper teens, early 20s.
Hmm.
Watching them,
Hmm.
okay, and you start seeing you.
Yes.
You see little things that they do, like, oh, that's totally you. My wife would be, that's totally you, or a friend of their girlfriend. Well, once somebody goes, he's you guys are exactly alike, because he's one of my sons. I used to call him my mini me. I
Yeah.
love that. I love him all, but he's, so she goes, he totally does that. When she sees me do something, he
Yeah.
totally does that. I go, well, that's what I mean. More Scott than taught. We pick this
Right.
stuff up. We don't even know it,
Right.
but it's important to have the self awareness of that.
Uh-huh.
Am I applying these things, good or bad, in
Hmm.
what I do in a leadership role or in a daily operation?
Right.
How does that look? So I think a big thing, and was you can talk to this a bit too, is that self-awareness
Right.
and that element in a quality leader. Do you see that as kind of a cornerstone kind of thing for them? Like they really need that? Because in entrepreneurship, that's a big thing.
Right.
Self-awareness is one of the number one traits. So just from a leadership standpoint, where do you put self-awareness?
Well, I put it at the top. And the reason, Richard, is because number one, if you're not aware of, say, your shortcomings or your weaknesses, then that's even worse because you're leading people, you're crossing over bad leadership traits to people. So being self-aware is very, very important because it then if I'm aware that I have a certain weakness, then I will, when I go on stage, which as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as somebody who's out there, you're constantly on stage and there's people watching you all the time, be it whether you're giving a keynote, be it any emails you're sending out, be it anything you're posting on social media, you're always on stage.
Right.
And if I am aware of something, I can fix it, I can improve on it. But if I am not aware of something, that's that's very unfortunate because I'm passing it on. And for me, in order to be aware of something, you have to reflect. And at the end of the day, you need to reflect. How was my day? How did I treat that person? Did I send out an email that maybe would have offended somebody? Did I say something that maybe would not have resonated well? Because people who are self-aware are people who reflect. But if you don't reflect, it means you just keep going and you know you're not taking time to look back and evaluate. So self-awareness and reflection and evaluation comes hand in hand. But yes, I put that at the top. It's got to be at the top of any leader's list.
That's that's great. I think I put in another term too, as you're saying, if weaknesses, shortcomings, things like that. If you're not acknowledging those, aren't aware of them, I'll put it in kind of a battle scenario. That's the soft belly, right?
Right.
That's the vulnerable point. The enemy's going for that.
Yes.
Okay. If I
Yes.
know your weakness,
Uh-huh.
I can exploit it.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And if
Yes.
I'm that guy, I'm going to exploit it. If
Right.
I got something in for you, I want your position, or I just don't like you.
Yeah.
If they know those weak points, they're going to start poking those.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So like it's important. It doesn't mean you need to be impervious. What I'm
Hmm.
saying is like if it's pretty blatant
Right.
and you're ignoring it,
Hmm.
you do a workaround.
Yeah.
Okay, that's no good. You got to shore that up. You got to fortify that.
Right.
What do I need to do to fix that?
Uh-huh.
You know, do I got to get some coaching? Do I need someone to see? Do I got to talk to someone? Do I just have to be more aware? And when
Right.
it's about to come out of my mouth, I shut it.
Hmm.
Okay, because I'll say the wrong things at the right time.
Right.
So I just get in trouble. So that's a shortcoming, right? So I got to work on that stuff.
And Richard, there's a lot of people that are just not aware.
Right.
They're just not aware, and they keep
Yep.
doing things that completely unaware of that. And those are the leaders that I think have surrounded themselves with people who can never ever tell them that they're doing anything wrong.
Right. You know,
And
I, sorry, go ahead.
and you have to surround yourself with people that will tell you the truth, that will tell you, hey, what you did out there was not very well received.
Right.
So, who you surround yourself with, I always, when I meet leaders, I always ask them, do you have people who can call you out and hold you accountable? Which are the people in your life or in your workplace that can hold you accountable? If you don't have any of those, well, you're not a self-aware leader.
Right. Right. You know, it's like when someone else calls something out you have, you're like with your best friend
Yeah,
and you're like, ooh, and I look at him and you never, well, he goes, yeah, you do. And you
yeah,
never told me.
yeah.
Look, you never told me. It's like, you got a thing on your face. Like, you just going to not say something.
Oh,
Okay, brush that thing off. You got a thing on there.
yeah.
Or the some of the self-aware, the self-unaware people. I
Hmm.
always use this one. Are your loud talkers?
Hmm.
When you're in a restaurant
Yeah.
and you can hear that one person at the one table across the room and you hear
Uh-huh.
the whole conversation, they're
Yeah.
not very aware.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Or maybe they are and they want everyone to hear their conversation. I don't know. But like, tone it down a little bit. But there's only
Yeah.
one person in front of you and the rest of the restaurant doesn't need to hear or care to hear. So can you
Hmm.
do that for me, please? But there's
Right.
that, right? So I just use that in a humorous way, but you see it. It's the same principle. They're
Right.
not aware,
Absolutely.
and there are a lot of people who are unaware,
Right.
truly.
Yeah. And it's a coaching thing, it's a leadership thing, it's something that, you know, you have to be intentional to be aware. You have
Right.
to go out on a journey every day and evaluate yourself. Otherwise, it's, you know,
Well, I taught my kids, I teach other people, situational awareness is another thing. You come
yes.
in a place, well, what are you looking for?
Right.
Do you just walk in and you want your table?
Yeah.
No, and I don't mean I'm a nut job, but I'm like, okay, there's an exit there and there's here. And okay, I might want to sit with my back to the door. I like to see who's coming in and going. And that's kind of my mindset, right? But
Yeah.
the other point too is even if you're a lady and you're going somewhere, like, you situationally aware. Are
Right.
you looking around? What's going on? Are you making yourself a target? Could that be a problem? Can I go this way? Can I go that way instead? Can I change my directions? And whatever the case, right? So there's a lot to the awareness aspect, right? Not just from leadership, but like personal functioning, like
Yes.
in the daily. I make eye contact with people.
Hmm.
They don't turn on their phone. They put their head down. No one does. You
Yeah.
walk in the city of Chicago, there ain't nobody looking at you. And I'm thinking, I'm down in the loop, and I'm looking at no, I'm looking, I'm like, nobody. Is it me? Is it
Yeah.
me? Is there no one else looking? I'm like, I mean, but like nobody,
Yeah.
so it's kind of, and I get it. There's a gazillion people, but that's just another thing. That's a lack of awareness.
Hmm.
You don't, your head isn't up.
Yeah.
You're not walking, you're not looking, you're not seeing. Again, you can say you're looking for threats, whatever you want to, whatever justification you want for it. Just
Right.
get your eyes up and look at people.
Hmm.
Give them a smile, whatever. Like, just, I say hello to people all the time,
Right.
just aware. I acknowledge them,
Hmm.
right? I don't know them,
Hmm.
but no one else, I guarantee you, has said hello to them
Yeah.
as they're walking down the road, whatever. I mean, it's a thing that brightens people's day. It's acknowledgement. Okay.
Hmm.
It's a leadership trait.
Right.
That's a leadership trait. I mean, it's respect.
Uh-huh.
Just, on the simplest level, and you'd be amazed at how far that carries and what that does for people.
Uh-huh.
Do you find that? I mean, for me, it's like, and I don't run around trying to look at everybody. I'm just saying, in daily operation, it's just, I'm it. That's what I do. You know.
And that's what we call connection. You got to connect with people. if I'm not connecting with you, how am I even able to communicate with you?
Right.
And as leaders, that's another thing you got to learn. How am I connecting with folks? How I connect with one team member is going to be very different than how I connect with another team member. But you're right. You have to connect before you communicate,
Right.
because otherwise it's going nowhere.
Yeah, it's
They're not even listening. They're not even there.
right. I was going to ask that. So exactly that scenario, people, the first thing they're going to do if you haven't connected, they're trying to figure out who you are.
Yeah.
So they're not listening.
Yes.
They're not listening to you to figure out who you are. Who this man's a giant. Okay, they look at me 6'2", 250. He looks very intimidating. Okay, they're
Right.
not hearing a word coming out of my mouth because they don't
Uh-huh.
know who I am. They're just thinking he's going to kill me.
Yeah.
So you have to set that right. So I like to mention that because this is important. There's a what do they call it? I don't know. There's a procedure.
Mm-hmm.
There's steps, right? Like you're going to communicate, you don't know the person, like you do things. People
Yeah.
shake a hand, they say this,
Mhm.
they introduce themselves. There's always a dance. All
Yes.
right. And you have to do that stuff. You got to get the first few steps in before you can administer whatever you're there to administer.
Right.
Command this or that, whatever, but like they have to know you. And I think that's an important thing to understand because a lot of people will come out of the chute just hard,
Mm-hmm.
and do this stuff. And it's the beginning of a lot of bad stuff.
Absolutely. And I call that, Richard, motivate, inspire, transform.
I love it.
I gotta motivate you first before I even try and inspire you. Once I inspire you with my message, then I've got to have you do something with it, because you know I can inspire you and leave you feeling amazing. I want to change the world. I want to do some amazing things. But if I don't give you the steps on how you can use that
Right.
information or message to transform, then I just kind of left you hanging. But you can't transform before you motivate.
Right.
And the motivating part is where the connection comes in.
Yeah. It's the action taking part that's difficult for people.
Right.
People go to leadership seminars and they go to training seminars and they go to motivational seminars and they're great for like 2 days.
Yes.
And by Thursday, same old, same old. They're right back to
I,
where they were before they went.
I run into that a lot. Even, as a leadership coach, I attend events and seminars, and what's always missing is, you leave the events feeling, man, this was amazing, this was
Mhm.
great. But what I do different is I'm going to give you nuggets that you can apply, and things you can go back to the workplace and just try these things. And
Mhm.
I'm going to give them to you, maybe two or three things. Because if I give you a laundry list of things, goes back to the complexity. You're
That's
not
right.
going to be able to apply that. But it's easy to apply one, two, three things. And when you see the results and it gives you a win, then you're going to apply more. But, you can have the greatest message, but many people leave the audiences hanging with a no way, with nothing, no follow-up steps, if I will. So
Yeah. What do you think about this? Because I think about this a lot and I kind of have it in some of the stuff I do. I think the way it sticks, it has to become part of your identity.
yes.
Okay, that's what makes it stick. You can get steps. I can give you steps. You can give them steps, or we can all build staircases. Okay,
Right.
we can build staircases, things to do, but
Right.
how does it become their identity? I think
Hmm.
it goes back to the motivational aspect.
Right.
Like, are they willing?
Yes.
Okay, if they're willing, and this becomes a priority, then it'll become part of their identity. And if
Right.
it doesn't become their identity, and I'll use church as an example, a lot of people go to church on Sunday,
Right.
and then on Monday they're back in the clubs and they're doing all the stuff they shouldn't be doing, right,
Yeah.
according to the Word of God. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, there's not an identity there.
Uh-huh.
You just went and punched the ticket to
Right.
say you went, and you're back to the old stuff. So I think instilling identity in people has to be part of the curriculum, if you will.
Yes.
right? Like, and I think that's what you do. I think what you're doing is you're giving these simple nuggets because again, if you give them more than two or three, no one's poof on a new person. Like watch me. I mean, identity is developed
Uh-huh.
over time. So, but I think a lot of people need to understand when they're listening to guys like you and they're going to these things like this needs to become who you are if it resonates with you properly, right?
Right.
And if it
Uh-huh.
doesn't, then it doesn't need to become who you are, right? There's some
Right.
goofs out there saying some pretty stupid stuff. Okay,
Right.
then we could spend a whole show on that. But when
Mhm.
when people are deliberately and intentionally giving you leadership capabilities, right,
You're right.
instructions, things like that, it has to become part of who you are. Otherwise, you're saying you're a leader, but you're not a leader.
Exactly.
It's like, I'll go back to the church thing. You're a Christian, but you don't act like a Christian.
Right.
You're a
Absolutely.
CNO, Christian in name only, but you're
Yep.
not living it. So you have to become, you're going to be a leader. You have to become a leader,
And it goes back to again credibility.
right?
You know, I need to walk the walk and talk the talk. And just reminding me something about New Year resolutions as you're talking about this, Richard, is you know in December, on December 31st, there's a lot of people, a lot of New Year resolutions. Well, I am going to start going to the
Yeah.
gym and I'm going to start doing this in the new year. Now, I have a very big problem with that because if you have to wait until December 31st to create a resolution,
Nope. Not happening.
I think you're gonna be dead on arrival.
Yep.
Because once you realize you need to do something, we're now in March or April 1st today. I don't have to wait until December 31st and be like, this is my New Year resolution. You begin right there and then. So the New Year resolutions are very misleading for a lot of people because like I
Yeah.
just started off in the new year. I just kicked the can
Yeah.
down and
Yeah.
the
I
you
don't do it. I don't do
that
them.
gym or that
I make
fitness
no.
club that turns into
Yep.
a bar by the third week of
Yep.
January.
Yep.
Yep.
Now I want to own the gym. I want
Yeah.
those memberships because the whole gym industry, Amos,
Yeah.
is based on an 80% no show. Okay.
Oh, interesting.
80% of the people who join clubs and Bally's figured this out decades ago.
Right.
Okay. They're like, why do you think there's only 40 parking slots out there, but there's 5,000 members?
Oh,
Because, because they're never going to have more than 40 people at a time in the place. Okay.
right.
So you got to look at that like, oh, but that's the model because they're now here's the difference. Go at 5 in the morning to the gym.
Hmm.
You'll see the same people every day, Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
Because 5 a.m., they're committed.
Yeah.
They're up at 4, ready to go in the gym at 4:45, 5. I'm there. We're
Right.
working out. We're doing everything. I see the same people every day.
Right.
Okay. Not a lot of new people.
Yeah.
New people come at 4 in the afternoon, 7 at night. That's where the new people are. Okay.
Yeah.
They're not coming, or in the first 3 weeks of January, they're there at 5:30 for like 2 days.
Yeah.
Okay, then we'll come back up. Dang, that's early, and I got to get up, and I got to go to work, and everything else. So it's just interesting. Okay, I love it. I just love the resolution thing, the New Year's resolution thing. Yeah, I don't participate.
Yeah.
I won't write them. I'll write them today, like you said.
Hmm.
I'll write them in October.
Yeah.
And I'll begin them in October.
Exactly.
Oh
Right away because every day you should be making resolutions
yeah,
if
it's that
you're
old.
reflecting and you're self-aware.
Yeah, I always told Billy, oh, you should be less concerned about Thanksgiving to New Year's about what you eat, and more concerned about New Year's to Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Think
Uh-huh.
about that. Don't worry about the little month of eating extra. Like worry about the other 11. Okay,
Right.
like you be good those 11. That month won't mean a thing.
Hmm.
Okay, you'll be okay. So yeah, it's just I like talking about this, Amos, because it's just there's a lot of practical application here.
Right.
Okay, again, I'm not a fluff guy. That's why
Uh-huh.
I want to have you on. I want to talk about this stuff because you're doing real practical things out there. You're making the difference with people, and I love it. And you're really showing them in incremental steps
Hmm.
how to apply it, make it stick, make it work, go forward, and become better. The self awareness, all that kind of stuff is really, really great.
Absolutely. And it's a day at a time and it's being able to put into practice and be intentional with where you want to go. And that's the premise of all of this.
Yeah, it's awesome, awesome. So wrapping it up, how do people get a hold of you? What do they got to do?
Well, go to my website, amosbalongo.com, and there you can find information about me. If you can link to some of the books that I've written that are communication based, that help people become better communicators. My books are designed to walk you through the process. It's a tour guide kind of approach where I have been there, I have done that. The most recent one I've released is the 7 steps of speaker awareness. There's 7 steps that you need to be aware as a speaker in order to be successful. And all that is on my website. And I have a podcast as well. It's called Journeys of Inspiration. And this talks about the journey is more important than the destination. I do episodes frequently that just give you nuggets on how can you value the journey and not the destination, especially in a day and age when we are so focused on getting there, but not on how do we get there, because the lessons, the growth, uh, the significance is in the journey and not the destination. So
Yeah,
amosbalongo.com and podcast Journeys of Inspiration.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, the journey's where it's at.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
training,
Yes.
okay, is better than the game.
Yes.
That's my mindset.
Yes.
I love the train. It's better than the game. It's
Uh-huh.
better than the fight. It's all the train. I love it. So that's where you learn everything.
Uh-huh.
That's where you get hardened. That's where you get better. I mean, I love it. I love you said that. Well, great way to wrap this up. So, Amos, thanks for all the time. This has been absolutely fantastic. You brought a ton of value to the show. I can't thank you enough. And for everybody else, we'll see you on the next STS podcast. Thanks for joining me on the Sharpen the Spear podcast. If you're a manufacturing executive and you're serious about unlocking hidden profit, improving frontline leadership, and taking control of your floor, go to grit2lead.com right now. Run the free Sharpened Impact Simulator and discover your biggest opportunities are hiding. Don't leave millions on the table. Sharpen your spear, lead from the front, and win the floor. Until next time, stay sharp.